Mathematics, Advanced Subsidiary Level, Paper 1, 2023, Part 5. Question number 8. Prove the identity sin theta tan theta over 1 minus cos theta and is equal to 1 plus 1 over cos theta. Okay. This you will find in chapter 4, trigonometry. Okay. Now, you can look, there's a few examples, but this is identities. So what I'm writing here is do as many as possible so that you can relate. If you see one, oh, it's almost working out as that one. So it's good to just practice, look at the answer, get the clue, just do as many as possible. But if you look, I saw one, try now 35, number A was really related to this one. So if you have time, don't spend, it's going to be 3 or 4 marks in a question paper. So it doesn't help you spend, say if you have only 5 days, that you spend a whole day on it or 2 days on it. Okay, but make time also for it. Okay, so let's start. If I'm saying that sin theta, tan theta over 1 minus cos theta, and it's the identity 1 plus 1. It was not necessary to write it over. Now I'm going to start with the left-hand side. Now, what you must remember, they love to do that you must sometimes make bigger. Okay, but the first step still, to write everything in terms of sin and cos will always help first. So I'm writing tan, and you can also look on the formula sheet to find the identities. Okay, so I write it in terms and then I go for 1 minus cos theta. Okay, now if you put this over 1, remember it's multiply. So I'm going to get sin square theta over cos theta, put this over 1, multiply 1 over 1 minus cos theta. Okay, so now this is where it comes. Now I'm going to go bigger. So in the place, and this you will see in this, I know that cos square theta plus sin square theta is equal to 1. So sin square theta is equal to 1 minus cos square theta. Okay, so now I'm going to make bigger. So in your mind, it's almost programmed to always make smaller. But remember with identities, and they love asking this type, is that sometimes you will make bigger, because everything is in terms of cos. So I'm trying to get everything in terms of cos. So I'm going to say 1 minus cos square theta over cos theta, and I'm multiplying with 1 over 1 minus cos theta. Okay, now, don't forget this is the difference between two squares. So factorize, make it 1 plus cos theta, 1 minus cos theta over cos theta, multiply 1 over 1 minus cos theta. Okay, and now because it's multiply, I can cancel that out. So I'm ending now with 1 plus cos theta over cos theta. Okay, but because I can rewrite it now, the denominator, I can say 1 over cos theta plus cos theta over cos theta. And if I move it up a little bit, I can say 1 over cos theta plus 1. Okay, it's the same. So then I can say the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. Okay, and it seems to me if you already did that, they gave you 1 mark. And then if you bring that in, they gave you, and then if you come to that, they gave you that one. So, this, and then if you establish the final one. Okay, there. But let's see. Let's go to the question, to the exam report. And let's see where they gave you that marks. So if you look at the exam report, question 8, fairly answers. Learners should be reminded that if the question requires them to prove, they should write down all the relevant steps. Learners who show all the steps always gain full marks. Inclusion of any wrong steps in between the proof affects the rest of the answer. So for that, did you see you get already a mark? And then if you said, if you got this, and then if you make bigger, so there is the 2, and then for getting, and then establish it at the end. There you got your 4 marks. Okay, let's go back to the question paper and then let's do the B part. Okay. Now, as soon as you see the word henge, then you always know that A must help you. Okay, so very important. I see that word henge. Solve the equation. And again, you can look that where you use A in this B part on page 201. There you can look at example 50 and the questions, the try nows after. Okay, so if I start, I say, okay, I start with this. I say sin theta tan theta over 1 minus cos theta. Okay, and I'm going to say plus 2 is equal to 0. Now go to the previous page. Okay, so if I go to the previous page, I can see, okay, so on the previous page, let's just compare. I say that in the place of this, I can write this. Do you see? 1 plus 1 cos theta. Okay, so I'm going to say, in this place, I'm going to write 1, let's just get the back, 1 plus 1 over cos theta plus 2 equals 0. Did you see what I did? Because on the previous page, I proved, that is what I proved, and I'm going to write it here. I proved that sin theta tan theta over 1 minus cos theta, the identity 1 plus 1 over cos theta. Okay, so basically I can just take this and I just replace it with this. And now I can start with solving it. So now I'm having 1 over cos theta plus 3, and that's equal to 0. So 1 over cos theta is equal to negative 3. And now I don't want the inverse, I want cos on top. So if I swap this, I can have cos theta, and then it's negative 1 over 3. And now I can start. And because it's 0 to 360, I can say, okay. So if I'm looking here, I know that my cos diagram, where is cos negative? Cost is negative here and cost is negative here. Okay, so then I'm going to get my key angle. So I press on my calculator, my key or my base angle. I press, make sure it's on degrees, very important. So because it's asking degrees, there they will not give you the radian option. So press shift cos bracket 1 divide 3. Don't press the negative n. And you can only, because you don't want that big, make it just, can I just write, make it to 2 decimal places, because the final must be 1. So make it to 5, 3, then your final answer will be correct. Okay, so I can start by saying theta is this minus that part. So theta is 180 minus 70.53. And that will be 10, and now you can approximate to 1. You can still write the full, so you can still say 180 minus 70.53. It was 109.47, but it must be 1 decimal place, so 0.5. And then the other one is 180 plus that little bit. And if you again say 180 plus the 70.53, then you will get 250.53, and that will be 250.5 degrees. Okay, and I think if you got it by substituting it there, and then if you come to this equation, and then for the final marks. But let's go and see if that is correct. Okay, so go to the report, and that will be question number B. Okay, so moderately answer. Emphasis must be placed on the equation that starts with henge. That means the previous one must help you. The question requires learners to recognize the relationship between the two parts of the question. In this case, learners were required to use the proved identity to solve the trigonometric equation. Those who started proving the identity all over again before solving the equations lost the marks for realizing the relationship. Wow, so they were strict there. Okay, so you must get this, and then you will get your two answers. And your two answers was then, okay, so 109.5 and 250 for the answer, and then the in-between steps. Question number 9. Find the possible values of x. Oh, and if you see something like that, underline. Correct to 2 decimal places for which, and then it's still trigonometry. Okay, so we are still in chapter 4 in the y equals mx plus c mathematics textbook, trigonometry. And you can see that inverse functions. You will see it on page 206. Look there at example 54. Okay, that is going to help you. So let's start with the question. We are going to say that sin minus 1, and it's x squared minus 2 pi over 3. So the first step that you must see, and when you look at that example, is that you're going to make it sin, and then you're going to swap this 2. So then you're going to say 2 pi over 3, and it's equal to x squared minus 2. Now, as soon as you see this, then you must think of the special angles. And the special angles you will find there on page 168. And that is, say for example, you were having your equilateral triangle, and we are just working in this half. Then you could, this was 2, this was 1, Pythagoras theorem 3. Now, if this was 60, but 60 will be always pi over 3. This is 30, and this is pi over 6. I remember this. The one that's 60 takes the 3, and the one that's 30 takes the 6. Okay, so basically, you're going to work with that special angles, not so much with the calculator. Then you can also go to, just to help you, but not that it's having an influence, but page 443, I showed you the unit circle. And then you will see at 120 degree, then you will see that it's negative for half, okay? And then for sin, it's square root 3 over 2. Okay, but we'll come there. So basically, I'm now going to say, if I'm going to substitute sin, what does sin stand for? Pi over 3. Sin is going to be opposite, are you seeing, over hypotenuse. Remember, SOHCAHTOA. So it's opposite over hypotenuse, opposite over hypotenuse. So in the place of this, I'm going to say square root 3 over 2. And that's going to be equal to that x squared minus 2. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep the x squared on that side. And I'm going to say square root 3 over 2 plus 2 is equal to that x squared. And now, remember it's square. And as soon as I take the square root on the other side, I'm going to have plus minus, and then it's square root 3 over 2 plus 2, and that's equal to x. And now I can press it on the calculator. So press on, you can put a bracket. You can say square root 3, divide 2, plus 2 equals, and then press the square root again. Or say square root bracket, square root 2, divide 3, divide 2, plus 2, close the bracket equals. But at the end, I'm getting that x is, and don't forget your plus minus, 1, because the plus minus is in front, 1.692933963, and x is equal, remember your 2 decimal places, 1.69. So it's positive 1.69 and it's negative 1.69. Let's just go to that examination report. And that was question number 9. So we go to the next page. We write moderately answered. No, it's question 9. Poorly answered. Most learners could not realize the inverse trigonometric function. Some learners interpret this to be this, not correct, and they could be seen multiplying both sides. Emphasis should also be given on rounding. Learners should not round their answers to less than the specified degree or accuracy. However, rounding to more than the degree of accuracy specified can be condoned. Learners should also work in radians if the angle given is in term of that. Okay, so that's why my special angles, I worked with the radians, the pi over 3. Okay, and then it was for this, writing that, and then it came to this, and then plus minus 1.69. Okay, so basically it was for that first step there, and then putting it in the square root, and then getting your final answer. Okay, I just hope I showed you where. So let's just go to the question paper again and just make sure I showed you the marks. No, I did not show you the marks, so maybe I can just show you quickly. But the first one was for doing that. Okay, then the second one, and then for the final answer. Question number 10. A ball is projected vertical upwards from ground level with a velocity of 80 meters per second. The height of the ball above the ground is h equals 80t minus 16t squared. Find the time it will take the ball to reach its maximum height. Okay, what chapter will this be? In the y equals mx plus c mathematics textbook, you will find this in chapter 6, and that is differentiation. Okay, and if you want to look in the textbook where you will find this maximum or minimum problems, you can go to page 292, and that example 32 will help you. But let's start. First, let's write down the equation. So it's h is equal to 80t minus 16t squared. So I will go and say dh over dt is equal to 80 minus, and I multiply, I'm busy differentiating, 32, I multiply and then subtract 2 minus 1. Okay, so for a stationary point, that will be indicating the maximum height, and then dh over dt will be equal to 0. So in the place of this, I can put a 0 equals 80 minus 32t. Okay, and now I'm taking the 32t over, and that's equal to 80. And I divide by 32, and I divide by 32, and I get that the value of t is 2.5 seconds. So find the time it will take to reach 2.5 seconds. And now number B, we will now check the answers together. Find the maximum height reached by the ball. So substitute the t value, that's the value of A, into the original equation. So basically, in that original equation was the 80t minus 16t squared. I'm going to put the 2.5. And that is going to give me the 200 minus the 100, and that is 100 meters. Okay, let's go to the report and see what they did in the report, or where did they give you the marks. Okay, so I actually already know where they gave you the marks. I could have already showed it to you, but we will go back. Okay, so question number 10, it was moderately answered. Most candidates did not realize that the 80 meters give was not to be used in the calculation of the time. A lot of candidates managed to get only 1 mark for the correct, they differentiated, but ended up with equals 80 and lost the rest of the marks. Others even multiplied there by 80. So you first differentiate, then you put it to, and then you get your 2.5. And then we can just check the marks. So 1 mark was for the differentiation, then putting it to equal to 0. And then this, so you get 2 marks there and the 2.5. And then the next one, let's see what they say. Okay, well answered. Okay, so I substitute the 2.5 in and I get 100 meters. Okay, so if I just want to go back to the question, I could have already finished it off, but let's just finish it off with the marks. So for the differentiation, that you would have get your 1 mark. And then if you put it equal to 0, another mark. And then if you got that t. And then for this one, if you the substitution where they see you are substituting the 2.5, and then for your final answer. All these videos refer to the y equals mx plus c textbooks, the number 1 mathematics textbook used in Namibian schools. For more information on these textbooks, visit the Straight Line Publishing website. All y equals mx plus c to success textbooks are available in the NEED catalogue of the Ministry of Education. Schools can order these using their yearly budget for textbooks, with the process typically starting mid-year. Make sure your learners have a copy of the y equals mx plus c mathematics textbook used by the top schools in Namibia in front of them in 2025. A final point. If you are in the position, I want to encourage you to buy your own personal copy of the y equals mx plus c mathematics textbook. These textbooks are available at the following bookshops. Remember, success in mathematics comes from hard work, perseverance, and the courage to face challenges head on. Good luck with your final 2024 examination.